So this is our last module that we're going to host before kind of doing our global mobility panel. This is a fun section. I know I jazzed you up with insurance, but this is the real fun when we're talking about revenue, all through supercharging or making your revenue supercharged through optimized operations. Really what operations our operators are focused on. So to kick it off, really the one thing I kind of want to start with and kind of come back to is I want everyone to have a mindset by the end of this module that you don't have to stick to one modality. You don't have to stick to one operating scheme. You can start that way, but you want to kind of come full circle and really expand to capture the entire marketplace. Think of your local geography or geographies as an opportunity to incorporate micromobility at every single level. So we're going to talk to a lot of little avenues on that, but get in that mindset that you don't just have to be a public people sharing operation or a delivery service, but multimodal and multi-operational. So, traditional models, I just mentioned, public sharing, this is what this entire industry is kind of based on in the media point of view. As we keep mentioning, and you see downstairs, Lime, Tier, Voy, those are the companies who get out the headlines. It's because they are in the public space. You don't hear of some companies that might be doing the hotel bikes that you're staying, that are outside the Holiday Inn that most of us are staying at, or possibly the vehicles that DHL or Getir are using to deliver their goods because they don't own them. It's actually 3PLs that own the fleets, and the sharing connectivity is done through micromobility operators. So we're going to really kind of focus on some new angles and approaches by which you can expand your existing fleet if you are a public sharing operator to really capture the full scope of your market potential and maximize the daily use of your fleet so they're not sitting idle, but they're making money as much as possible. So going to start off with, if you're kind of in the space, what model are you kind of thinking about? Are you a public sharing operator? Do you do a private sharing business? Or are you already doing both? Okay, so kind of talking about some different use cases out there. Really think about your riders. Who's actually getting on the vehicle? For public sharing, it's not just randos that are hopping on there. You actually have a specific use case for early morning and evening. If you're really doing your operations properly, you should be thinking about how to stage your markets for your early morning. People are still going back to the office. Yeah, I know we live in a remote hybrid work style, but people still commute in the mornings, commute in the evenings. So you have people that you should be thinking about should ride or should want to ride, if you can provide availability, your vehicles at least twice a day. Okay. In between, you might have some tourists. Obviously, Amsterdam is a tourist hotspot. You get off the train, you get out of the airport when you get into town, hop on a bike. So use cases for people that don't have transportation options by not living locally, whatever's local, whatever they can rent or check out with their phone or mobile device. You have some people that just want to, no pun intended, joyride around. So you have those leisure riders. But I can't believe no one actually put delivery on there, because that's a big one. Gig workers right now in the delivery space is the fastest growing rider group in this industry. It's really kind of taking over how we do things and really supplementing income, or being your main job is actually having multiple delivery gigs and having a vehicle like this Kigo over here that is your revenue driver, your income driver. And so really be thinking about how do you service those users or those consumers. So how are we going to ever get to this, what I've kind of alluded to, this kind of utopia where we have all of our fleets being used at all times, whether it is in the morning for people going to their office, and then the midday someone's delivering with your fleet, or possibly you have just two different vehicles and you're leasing them out, subleasing them out to DHL or Getir. We'll get to that. So the first thing we got to talk about is the features and kind of the, how should I say, internal guts of the system that kind of make all this work, because just providing the vehicle is not enough. You actually have to have the software that complements use cases. And my colleague Ben's going to come back up here, so give him another round of applause. Yeah, told you he'd be back. There we go.
All right, thanks again, Andrew. So really to capture those different segments and tourists and your locals, you need a bunch of different ways to collect money from the users. So we'll start by talking a little bit about currencies, billing units. So we can set up in the app different ways to collect that money, use multiple currencies to manage multiple markets. Reducing some of your risk with pre-authorized payments. So we're set up in most markets to take pre-authorized credit card payments and ensure the money is available before the user starts that ride. And then we have some options for users without credit cards. You might have had that experience this week trying to buy a coffee somewhere in Amsterdam, and they're demanding euros in cash, and you reach into your pocket and there's nothing there. Or yesterday I ran to the ATM and pulled some money out so that we could buy the baskets to put our swag in downstairs. This is a very low credit card usage country, so we have integrated Ideal, which is the common payment method for Dutch citizens. But you can also use that payment method outside of Holland if you're using one of our payment processors. So we have different ways like that. You could also partner with local vendors to sell paper cards at kiosks and then basically give the user a discount code. So they might pay €5 at the kiosk, get a card, and then type the code into the app and have €5 available to take their ride, or €100, whatever the case may be. So we have lots of different options out there to make sure that money is collected in a timely and efficient manner and accommodate different use cases. The next one, it's a high fixed cost business. You have to pay for those vehicles up front, and you need revenue all through the year. So by using a ride pass and a subscription, we're giving you a way to have monthly recurring revenue. So you can charge those users, and every month we deduct money from their account. It can increase like a dedicated user base. You can have your vehicles out on the road. This is key to that gig worker market that Andrew just mentioned, but it's also great if you're just reaching consumers who don't want to pay the upfront cost of an e-bike. They want to try it out for a couple months, try a few different models, learn a bit more about the industry. So this is a huge option. Bakmi over here with the cargo bikes. These cost several thousand euros. It's a big barrier for a lot of young families who want to take their kids to school. They're leasing these out for €150 a month, everything included with maintenance. So great option in there to take a subscription revenue. Here we go. Okay, so rider segments. So now you've got ways to collect the money. You need to find a way to get out to the riders, get the right people in your vehicles, remind users that your vehicles are available. You might have introduced new pricing plans. So we have a rider segmentation tool that allows you to find riders who have not ridden recently or who have ridden recently, whatever your case may be. And they can be sent targeted notifications, targeted email campaigns, or SMS to understand these new offers that you have. Get them re-engaged, get them back on the vehicles. We're also introducing a tool later this year where you can use your own business analytics platform, identify the riders that you want to send a promo to, and then re-upload it into our system, and then send the targeted message out to that user group. So that's going to be a real big game changer in terms of getting people out there. And then analytics is the next sort of piece of that puzzle. So the vehicles need to be where the riders are, and where riders are depends on the day, depends on events that are happening, depends on weather. So we're getting a new platform for you later this year that will help you understand where to place your vehicles, to where the trips are taking place, which transactions are happening, where those kind of honeypots are. You put a vehicle there, it gets booked a minute later, and off they go, putting money back into your account. So this is going to be a big tool with dashboard changes. Right now we have some of these basic analytics available for you as well. Promos and offers is another big one. This is an opportunity to partner with local businesses. You might have a popular cafe or restaurant or a sports venue. Maybe there's a festival coming through town, and you can give discount codes to that place, or they can give a discount code to your users. You can display these in the map, in the app, and bring that revenue in. We also have a couple really cool use cases where operators are using this as a revenue tool, where they're displaying promos. They're literally displaying billboard ads within the app from different partners in their area. So you put it in a geofence zone or a specific pin on the map, and you display the image that your ad partner wants, and you collect that ad revenue based on how many views it gets. So that's a really great way to get in there. And then referring a friend. So we have a refer a friend promo. You give an opportunity for maybe €5. If I send a code to someone, I get €5 if they sign up and take a ride, and they also get that discount upon completion of that first ride. So it's a great way to leverage that word of mouth marketing, because everyone distrusts the big search providers, but they love when their friend said, I had a really fun time riding that cargo bike, riding that scooter, had a great trip on my vacation, and you should use this operator and not the other one. So great opportunity there. The other one we have, especially talking about tourists, there's sometimes only one person took a data plan, or there's other challenges around payments. So we have an opportunity to do group rides where you choose how many people can have a ride with one account. So maybe it's set to 5. I have my whole family. I put my credit card in. I put some money in my account. And I see 5 vehicles. I scan, start a ride, scan the next one, start a ride. My friend hops on. Off we go down the beach, heading to dinner all together. And we only needed one app download, one credit card, and off we go. So really great for that sort of thing. And then the nice thing for you as an operator, besides the excess revenue, is that you now have 5 vehicles that are parked together. The rebalancing van doesn't need to make multiple stops to get these vehicles back to a great location. Oh, long-term rental is the last one here. So we've already covered most of this one, so I will not kind of rehash it, but another couple key things here. This is great for that B2B business case. It's also good for charging rebalancing, because you know that user has the vehicle for a month. You've given them a charger. They're plugging it in at home. You don't need to worry about anything. And then the other piece, reduce vehicle damage. The same person has it. You can't hide behind another public sharing user. I knew I gave you a mint condition bike on June 1st. So on June 30th, I better have a mint condition bike back in my hands. Otherwise, I know you're the one to charge that money to. So that's it from me. And now it's back to Andrew.
Big round of applause for Ben Wedge, everybody. So let's talk about some actual vehicles now and some of the kind of operational policies that we can really achieve great success with. I've mentioned a couple times and kind of pointed over here. If you're really looking at delivery, you really need a delivery vehicle. I was in New York City a couple months ago, and I saw vehicle riders for Joker, which is kind of the Deliveroo of North America right now, that were delivering groceries with bags on handlebars of scooters, trying to balance that out. Not necessarily the safest or the most efficient. Some had the backpacks on, but still, it's not really purpose-built for that use case. If you really want to maximize the range of your vehicle and therein the cargo capacity by which you're trying to achieve your deliverables, having something that can hold the maximal amount is kind of vital for that. So as you can see over here, the Kigo bike, that's the KG4, can hold a front load and a rear load, can easily rack up to 65 kgs. Their newer model, which will be debuting in a TBD, I'll kind of let them explain it to you when you talk to them outside, is going to be able to actually almost double that. So really being able to enable delivery fleets to maximize all 80-plus kilometer range, so they're not constantly coming back to offload, unload their parcels. And really, you're seeing that from not just the delivery space, but we have over here one of our customers. If anyone's gone down to The Hague or Rotterdam recently, one of our customers backed me. You've probably seen their bike outside as well. You can actually have cargo humans. We were actually using this yesterday to get around town, myself and Nick, not the smallest of gentlemen, but it got us from here to the print shop, here to the grocery store, and saved us quite a lot of steps on the way. Here in the Netherlands, it's quite popular for families to go ride around and bring your kids to the park. And so really maximizing that exact use case, look at cargo as a way to supplement. A lot of times you see just single individuals, people sharing those, then you'll see someone jump on that to use it as a gig work. As I mentioned before, don't keep your vehicles idle. Find multi-uses for your fleet so they can maximize the revenue that's coming in. The biggest problem we've kind of seen, has been kind of mentioned, is payments, support tickets, volumes of kind of these touch points that really limit your operations management team's focus and ability to attack these areas, and really inefficiencies in your daily operations leads to low customer engagement. So how do we kind of rebound past that? Again, kind of moving forward. First off, want to take a quick pause. What kind of software upgrades do you think, or would you want to be in a package of your software provider to kind of get around some of these blockers that prevent you from maximizing your, let's say, profitable potential? Okay, all right, so everyone thinks that you can increase your profitability with ride demand analytics, AI chatbots, location tracking, parking assistance, so all good choices. Okay. One of the things that, and Kirk mentioned this, you can find the Flare software in the Joyride marketplace. One of the ways that we're trying to bring all non-hardware related items to our ecosystem is actually launching a Shopify-esque type of marketplace. We're calling the Joyride Mobility Toolbox. It's going to be launching next week, actually. So all of our partners, that many of which have been referenced today, will have their services available plug-in ready through the Joyride Marketplace or Mobility Toolbox in very short order. And that way, operators now and in the future will be able to quickly just turn on and off these supplementary services that can make their hardware go to the next level. So talk about a few of them, really the bespoke plugins, if you will, to kind of make these, make your fleet really pop. Going to get into a few. Okay, there we go. All right, some of our friends at Lanterne, and again, I just want to take a pause here. At the end, anyone you see that's kind of on the board, their representatives are around. So if you do need to kind of chat about these awesome services they provide, please flag them down and have a chat. So I mentioned I came from the operations space. I tried to help build an operator app that actually automated task management to my 200-ish direct reports in over 12 markets, because I was getting tired of actually manually every morning getting up in multiple cities and identifying the tasks, swapping batteries, rebalancing to specific locations, fixing vehicles out in the field, doing that manually, sending them out via Slack or WhatsApp or text message or email, and then relying manually on people to check those off. Instead, it would be nice to have a digital solution, which I thought, and something that could be automated. Well, luckily, a few companies, and as well, like Lanterne is featured here, came up with a solution to really take all the data. We have sensors galore on all these devices. That stuff's just at the waiting. And so they were able to translate and take fleet data from anything that's connected to an IoT and all the sensors on it, and be able to predict what needs to be done when, and tell the teams how to do where and why. And so really what you're currently seeing from a lot of new operators is manual engagement. You have a staff of yourself, maybe a significant other, a few employees. You're going out in the field and, oh, I think that I need to put 4 scooters next to the central station, or I need to put 10 e-bikes over by the post office or this really fancy grocery store that people go to. It's all based on your intuition, your gut. But when you start looking at the data on the back end and actually letting some machine learning and AI take over, it can actually tell you, no, you need to be putting this many vehicles at this spot, this many at that spot at this exact time, which means you have to go do this task 4 hours ahead of time to actually achieve your overall goals. And so being able to plug in that type of smart engine ahead of time can really amplify our operations. Now, I mentioned doing some of this manual. I literally started by handing out clipboards to employees. They would check off boxes that they did these tasks and then report back to me. That was 2018 and 2019. I didn't actually go back and verify it because I didn't have time. No one does. But it was a compliance thing, and it somewhat got the job done because it gave people structure in what they can do. Much easier now is operators around the world have local staff, whether they're gig workers or not. Everything's controlled by one app. So they look on a phone, they get in, they clock in on their shift, they look, it says I have 15 tasks, and instead of having to think where I want to go, they just hop in the van with the right number of batteries that their phone said they need to have in their cargo e-bike, and it says go here, here, and here in the specific order, and if you need to, it reroutes you to proper locations. Optimally complete your tasks, reduce your overhead from your staff by inefficient operations, increase your revenue by having vehicles where they need to be at the demanded point ahead of time. So when you can do that, Lanterne has already shown that you can increase your rides by 15% and reduce your ops costs by 10%. Those are top line and bottom line margins you can't ignore. Our friends at Naurt attack one of the biggest problems right now is GPS location accuracy. Some of you have maybe found out that GPS is not so accurate. You look at your phone on Google Maps or Apple Maps, and you realize, and you think that you're walking along, and this is where my dot is. This is where I'm at this exact moment. But in reality, you could be anywhere from 5 to 100 meters off your actual location. So when you actually look at the data, a vehicle that's parked might be pinging at multiple spots. That vehicle hasn't moved. The real location is actually within a little 1 meter squared area. But the GPS on the telematics chip that's embed these systems actually pings at random locations. Interference like buildings, glass, steel, concrete really leads to this problem, which is really called GPS drift. And to correct that, you need systems and software that can actually adjust that drift with both the telematics chip and the user's phone if they're actually in motion. So if you're able to actually account for proper GPS location from the operations side, your team that's on a nice Lanterne-empowered operations app is not searching for a vehicle they think is right in front of them, which is actually maybe behind a tree 100 meters away. They know the exact pinpoint. And I know this from personal experience. If you're not walking around aimlessly trying to find a vehicle, searching in bushes, maybe a dumpster, maybe inside someone's domicile, you can save yourself hours upon hours each day when you accumulate your shift hours. And if you're paying someone 15, 20 euros an hour, that really adds up. And when you're on as we've mentioned, a very lean budget and every dollar counts, you can't really afford to be letting your employees or gig workers be inefficient. Another friend of Joyride that is actually in the location space and is actually headquartered here in Amsterdam, Roam, saw this problem as well and devised some other unique avenues. So beyond just the operational side where you're trying to find the locations in a quick time so your operations team can rebalance, swap batteries, bring something back for maintenance, you also want to have them where the users, the potential users, actually know where the vehicle is. So that flip side problem is still the same. You want to have someone be able to find the vehicle as quickly as they can because it's showing a certain pinpoint on their map. But more importantly, what happens when they're on the ride and maybe you want to engage them a little bit? Well, the team at Roam figured out, why can't we use some marketing in here and actually start pattern recognizing, as I mentioned, the first use case, commuters. Typically, you're going just like you would in a car from home to work, maybe a grocery store in between, maybe the coffee shop in between. So when you can start identifying specific user patterns, as Ben mentioned, we have promos and offers in our app. Why not start targeting people before they get on a vehicle or right when they start to unlock? They realize it's 7 a.m., you're hopping on the scooter you always find at the same spot at a parking bay around the corner. Oh, I'm about to unlock and it says, hey, Joe's Coffee around the corner is actually doing 50% off. I normally don't stop there, but I'm kind of tired and I'm on the way to work, so let's go grab some coffee. Not only can you increase your customer engagement by providing a service that they want, you increase some of your neighbors, other consumer or other businesses in the area, their top line. And then you kind of have this ecosystem of hyper-localization where you can really increase not just your dollar, their dollar, but your community value. And this is one of the biggest things in retention in a market is being able to say to a city, we're part of the community. We may not be headquartered here, but we have made our point to be impactful within the local community, the local merchant societies, and we're adding value through these hyper-local partnerships. So understanding user behavior and being able to target those users really takes that top line to the next level. All right, so I'm going to hand off to my friend I've been promising from the top. Nick O'Sullivan from our operator success team is going to talk about a few of our operators that are doing some very specific use cases just like this.
Cool. Thanks, Andrew. Sure. Flicker. Beautiful. And thanks, guys, for still being here. Like, you've been absolute sports. It's been 2 hours. I can see you've enjoyed it because you are actually still here. But just to liven things up a bit and just to sort of re-engage you if you are disengaged, I'm actually going to perform my slides via interpretive song and dance. I'm not, so you don't need to worry about that. But I just wanted to make note of how good a sports you've been throughout the entirety. So, as Andrew said, I head up our operator success team at Joyride. So I have the enviable job of being able to chat to all of our operators on the day-to-day about the different markets they're in, about the different business models that they have. So I get a really insight into the cool things that they're doing. The unenviable job I have today is only spotlighting 4 of them because, we've got over 100 in all different markets. But I had to pick 4 today. And I just wanted to give you, a bit of a broad understanding of some of the different, vibrant and cool things they're doing in their markets. So first one, Ginger, so a UK operator. They managed to land, so finally when the UK did trial shared scooters a couple of years ago, managed to land 7 of the permits. So that's more than, say, Bird, more than Voi, more than Lime, more than any of the big boys, so to speak. And they've had a lot of success since then, focusing their price and also their promotions around their community. So an example of that is during the pandemic, a few of the markets that they operate in have big hospitals and have big health centres. So they launched a campaign, a promotion via our app for the local health service to support them and give them free rides on their scooters during the pandemic. So, it had a really positive social impact for Ginger, but it also had a positive impact on their bottom line because, these health workers, they got used to the scooters, they enjoyed it as a mode to get to and from work, and they continued to use them outside of their day-to-day commute. We've got the guys at Bicello, so we've got Jacob here, so do say g'day to him a bit later. A little bit about their model. Ginger, public share, sort of B2C. Bicello, private share, so B2B, if you will. So they let out e-bike operations to hotels. So they're specifically working in that market. So they've got hotel customers in, big cities like Stockholm. They've also got hotel customers in really sort of rural and remote locations. So, Corfu in Greece, as an example. So they serve both those markets. And effectively what they offer is a turnkey operation for those hotels. So really low OPEX. So they deliver the e-bikes to the hotels. The hotel staff run the operations with the guidance of the Bicello crew. So they keep their OPEX really low. And obviously for the hotel, it's a win because it's an added amenity for the guests. For the guests, it's a win, because they're seeing this cool new location on a bike. So it's win-win-win for all of those key stakeholders. And then in terms, I talked about their cost reduction. So this is an interesting fact. The way that they run their ops and having the hotels run that, it brings down the OPEX by 40 to 50% compared to most public shares. And then finally, another added value that these guys offer is via the app. They offer sort of hotel-specific tourist guides for the end user. So not only is the end user, seeing this really cool tourist island or really cool tourist city on an e-bike, but they're also guided around that market via in-app tourist guides. So again, win-win-win for everybody. Thirdly, Buck Me, which we've thrown to a couple of times. So based here in the Netherlands, public share, doing also a bit of private share as well, but mostly a public share service, so B2C. And a bit of a different form factor, as you can see, different to an e-bike or a scooter or a moped. And instead of, traditional sort of A to B commuting, the end users of BackMe, they're doing things a bit differently. So they're taking kids to school via the cargo bike. They're doing grocery shopping runs via the cargo bike. They're picking up furniture from IKEA again, via the cargo bike. So they're making a really positive impact in reducing the amount of car journeys. And then on the flip side, in terms of their operations, again, because they've got a fleet of cargo bikes, things like battery swaps, instead of doing that in a car or a van, their ops team jump into one of their cargo bikes and they can actually do 20 battery runs in one of these vehicles. So doing the right thing for the environment, but also optimising their fleet. Also, obviously these vehicles can get into some of the nether regions that a van or a car cannot. So really smart ops and also obviously doing the right thing for the environment. And finally, our guys out of Ireland, Zip Mobility. Again, one of the treasured few who managed to get some UK permits. So these guys, as I said, are based in Ireland, but launched in UK markets and have also launched in a few other global markets since then. Their focus, again, has had a community-centric vibe to it. So they partner really closely with the towns and cities and councils within which they operate, and have a really close relationship with those guys. They also have exclusive permits with these towns, which again just promotes a really close relationship. Again, from like a smart ops standpoint, they have one centralized warehouse which serves numerous markets within which they operate. So again, it keeps down their operations expense. And finally, another big focus that they have is around their parking bays. So they run a dockless system, but they spend a lot of time both via online means, so through the app that they have, through our app, to promote sensible parking, and also offline means. So, creating those attractive, vibrant parking bays for their end users to park their vehicles in. So I hope that gives you a little bit of insight about our operators, the cool stuff that they're doing. And I think for your sake, you're lucky that I didn't do this in interpretive dance or song, because I'm terrible at both. So thanks so much for your time. And as I said, all of those operators, except for Ginger, are here today. So if you want to be directed to any of them, just let me know and I'll be happy to do that. Cool. Thanks, guys.
Take that over. All right, that's pretty much concluding this last segment. Again, final thought. Look at these vehicles as an asset or assets that can really generate revenue for multiple purposes and multiple avenues all day long. Be thinking about how you can, not just thinking public share, I'm getting 2 rides a day, and be satisfied with that. Think about how you can keep increasing the utilization of these vehicles, because every time they're used, they're increasing your revenue, they're increasing your overall viability for long-term sustainability as a company. All right, again, going to keep circling back to this. Please take advantage. We're offering a couple months free of the Joyride Academy. It's going to keep growing. We have a lot of content focused towards kind of launching and intermediate stage businesses and multifacets, but we're going to continuously incorporate new content from third parties, subject matter experts, and really add a community element where our kind of academy users can kind of engage and really feel a safe, environment that they can talk about tips of the trade without feeling like they have to constantly be signing NDAs, and really just become a growing micromobility club, if you will. So take advantage of that. Become a Joyride customer. It's free for life then, so keep it up. And right now, we're really going to take kind of like a 1-minute break, and then we're going to jump right into this final little mobility panel, and then we'll kind of get back into it.